All right. Hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. A couple preliminaries before we begin. For starters, if you hear me shivering, my voice sounds kind of shaky, and it looks like I'm moving around shivering, it's because I am. It's pretty cold here in Buffalo. In fact, it's cold quite a few places. There's a snowstorm, a lot of snow coming. And actually, I don't think the snowstorm starts till tomorrow, but there has been a lot of snow as of late. We had another storm even earlier in the week. So if you're in an area that's getting a lot of snow, if you're in the middle of a snowstorm, please be safe. Please stay warm, stay cozy, stay nice and toasty, all that good stuff. And definitely don't stay frosty. This is the one case where you should not stay frosty. I don't care what that pop-up says. I don't even remember what game I'm referencing. I don't know what I'm talking about. I think it's Call of Duty. Yeah, it's either Call of Duty or Halo, or it might be both. But yeah, don't stay frosty. Stay warm, and of course stay safe. And the other thing is uh is that I did not plan for both of these matches this week for our Royal Rumble reviews. We're still doing the Royal Rumble reviews, or not just Royal Rumble matches, but matches that happened at the Royal Rumble. I did not plan for both of these to be from the 1995 Royal Rumble, so that means yes, tomorrow I am reviewing the 1995 Royal Rumble match. But lo and behold, both of these are from the 1995 Royal Rumble. So, kind of a happy accident, and it really the only reason I'm even reviewing the 1995 Royal Rumble match late tomorrow. That is well, I guess technically later on this week. I was about to say later on this week, but it's really gonna be tomorrow, I guess. But that's the main reason I'm reviewing that one is because we're gonna need it for next week's Royal Rumble match review, with that being the actual Royal Rumble match. But I figured I'd throw this one in here as well. So let's see what's going on. Let's see who Shawn Michaels, who would win the 1995 and the 1996 Royal Rumble. Let's see who will be facing at WrestleMania. I'm talking about Diesel versus Bret Hart for the WWF Championship at the Royal Rumble 1995. Now, of course, long speech aside, as always, I am not a professional wrestling reviewer or analyst or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I had a pretty alright time watching this match. We're not completely in the slog yet, but we're approaching it. That being pro wrestling in 1995. And notice how I didn't even say WWF or WCW because it was in both. If you think things are bad nowadays in terms of pro wrestling, and 1995 is the real pit. Because I'm talking about a year so bad that it almost killed the wrestling business as a whole. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know this works, or at least you have an idea of how this works. If you haven't, however, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the match, as well as kind of a little tidbit at how we got here. So Bret Hart was the WWF champion, and he had lost it to Bob Backlund of all people at Survivor Series 1994. And I'm sure I'll get to the um, I'll get to the Bob Backlund versus Bret Hart rivalry, excuse me, at some point on the channel. I'm sure it's inevitable, but yeah. So Bret Hart, he had won the championship back at WrestleMania 10. He beat Yokozuna, uh, and he lost it at Survivor Series to Bob Backlund. So Bob Backlund was champion for for a little bit. It for about 3 days, it looks like, and then Diesel beat Bob Backlund, and then Diesel decided to give a title shot to Bret Hart. All right, so at this point, Diesel is the WWF champion, and kind of a lot of people feel like a very lackluster WWF champion to the point where a WCW official, like within this year, I believe, he's asked the question, how long can the WWF run on Diesel power? Now, look to who that WCW official or someone of power. I forget exactly who it is. Valid question. tend to your own guard, and because WCW in 1995 was also not the best. That is the year Nitro premiered, so that's uh that's something. Yeah, yeah, 95. Uh, but that is a valid question. But yeah, mind yours. But nevertheless, is now getting into the actual match. Now that I've dilly dallied enough of starting with what I like. Hey, and it's funny that I mentioned Nitro. Oh, considering both these two people, Bret Hart and Diesel, would eventually jump ship to WCW. Not at the same time, of course, but would eventually be in WCW and would both be on Nitro. What do you know? But now actually getting into the match, starting with what I liked, pretty yeah, pretty solid back and forth action between the two. The dynamic between the two was very interesting in a couple different ways. For starters, it's kind of positioned as David versus Goliath in a way, where Bret Hart, the much smaller man, has to contend against Diesel, the much bigger man, and Bret using his very fluid technical prowess to really overcome Diesel, including working his legs the majority of the match, at locking in and locking in the figure four, locking in the figure four around the turnbuckle, around the ring post, I should say, hey, as Bret Hart normally does. Even at one point, taking off his wrist tape and then tying up Diesel's legs while he like punished him back in the ring. It didn't last long because the referee got out and like untied Diesel's legs, but it was pretty interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. And also very interesting. Bret Hart does get a majority of the offense in on this match. It's very much him, like trying to maneuver around Diesel and hit Diesel on almost every side and try to overwhelm the big man, including even like diving through the ropes. Excuse me, on the outside to Diesel, which they point out on commentary Brett doesn't usually do, but seeing Brett try to overcome the big man, and you would think on paper that Diesel would probably get in the majority of the offense, even if he's not the most fluid or dynamic in the ring, and even if he does have the infamous five moves of doom, you would think Diesel would overpower Brett, but Brett really taking it to Diesel within this match, which was very interesting to see. And of course, horse Brett, so fluid in the ring, so fantastic to watch. Really able to elevate this match. Not to discount Diesel because he is able to hold his own and for the most part able to keep up with the Hitman, and he pulls his share. He does his share of the work, but to see Brett really work around Diesel and like work over the legs and everything, and that constant threat of him working the legs all throughout the entire match, I think was very smart. How they played with the idea. It's a feasible idea. Yeah, Brett knows he's not going to overpower Diesel, so instead he uses his technical prowess and in a way, I don't necessarily want to say outsmarts Diesel, but uses the other tools in his arsenal to overcome the size disadvantage. And I think that made for a very interesting dynamic and a very unique dynamic in a way. Like we've seen big versus small men matches before and since this match, but to see it play out here was very interesting. And again, seeing Bret Hart get the majority of the offense was pretty interesting. And ultimately, the match is thrown out. It's rule of draw, which does kind of suck. But that's after damn near everybody interferes. Shawn Michaels shows up first. He attacks. He does attack Diesel. He doesn't attack Bret, but he does attack Diesel. He's eventually thrown out by the referee. But the ref declares that the match will continue. Admittedly, I'll save it until I get to like the dislikes. But then Bob Backlund shows up. and he attacks Bret, and then, or actually, first Owen Hart shows up and attacks Bret. Then Bob Backlund shows up. Then Jeff Jarrett and the Road Dogg show up, or he's not actually. My mistake. He's not the Road Dogg yet. He's still the Roadie at this point. He's still like the protege of Jeff Jarrett. But the man who would become Road Dogg, does show up, and he pretty much fight both Bret Hart and Diesel to the point where the ref has to throw the match out. So I guess it does add that level of intrigue, but yeah. So all those elements really kind of bring the match to life in a lot of ways. And afterwards, Diesel and Brett do fight off the intruders, and then they even show a bit of respect. They do like a handshake. Diesel wants to raise Brett's arm, but or like raise his arm. You get the idea. But Brett's arm is hurt, so instead they offer the handshake and the hug. So that was a nice show of respect there. And Diesel pulls down the straps first for some reason, but I guess what can you do? But those dynamics, I think really kind of flushed the match out. In terms of dislikes, it did seem like way too much, way too soon. Like the match going at this relatively steady pace, and we see it play out, and then all of a sudden, all these people start showing up. Like it like quickly goes off the rails to the point where you almost feel like, what is going on it seemed like way too much, like way too many moving parts, and it gets kind of confusing, and it damn near comes out of nowhere. Now Bob Backlund, I get why he's there, and do keep in mind, I obviously didn't watch at the time. I wasn't alive yet, and so I'll have to delve deeper in my research, but I know why Bob Backlund's there, because he has problems with Bret Hart. I know why Owen Hart's there, because he has problems with Bret Hart stemming from their rivalry the previous year. And Shawn Michaels has his problems with Diesel. By this point, they had broken up. Shawn, I don't think has quite recruited. I think at this point he has recruited Psycho Sid as his bodyguard. I think this was around that time, but Sean has his issues with Diesel. But why are Jeff Jarrett and the Roadie there? It all seemed it very much goes off the rails and it's pretty confusing and pretty out there. And admittedly, all those moving parts logistically, the ref probably should have thrown the match out way earlier, especially with both Brett and Diesel going to use the chair. Brett actually does use the chair, but all that stuff really, like things go off the rails as the match progresses, and it does get a little much. It's way too much. It feels like it's, I mean, way too much stuff up in there. Like get in there. Like fit all this stuff in there, like Shawn Michaels, Owen Hart, Jeff Jarrett. Well, Bagley, it's way too much. It's way too much stuff going on way too many bells and whistles. Now, interference and stuff like that I'm not completely against, but it feels like a very much overabundance of it. It's instead of it making sense and coming out in a nice even fashion, it just kind of completely goes off the rails else towards the end. And the fact that it did end in a draw, the fans are not happy about it. It goes over as well as you would expect, for a non-finish. And I get it. I can get it on paper for what they're going for the fact that they want to try to get these stories, because Bret Hart and Bob Backlund would continue to feud for a little bit. And they want to revisit the Owen Bret rivalry, and the fact that Shawn and Diesel are still going on. Like I said, Shawn wins the Royal Rumble, so he and Diesel are gonna face off at WrestleMania. So I get that, but the having it end in a draw, I think was pretty unsatisfying. Like having finishes end in a draw, having matches end in a draw is something that can be either hit or miss, and I think In this case, it was kind of a miss, especially with kind of how we got here. Like, it just all of a sudden, randomly, all these people show up, and now the match has to get thrown out. I get what they were going for, having it be such a chaotic ending that the referee has no choice but to throw out the match. I get it from that standpoint, but it felt like way too much, and it led to a pretty unsatisfying finish. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on those post notifications so you know every single time I upload a video so you never miss an upload, and let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the match, my review of the match. Do you like this match? Do you like my review of the match? Let me know. And join me tomorrow as we see how Shawn wins the Royal Rumble in a very, very crucial rule that that wasn't quite established in the match, but was very much enforced. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.